brunch is now Sounds by Swan. So when you go to the KZK...
Smooth Sounds by Swan.
Smooth Sounds by Swan. And it's Swan. That's who we're talking to, because he's got that voice that's smooth like a swan on a lake. So today, you guys, I'm super excited. My guest is Tahira Harris, and she's a comic in Colorado and also an educator. So
yes,
we really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, thank you, Janine. I appreciate you guys too. Thanks for having me. Sorry.
Well, you bet. And so one of the things I want to ask you first is, how did you get into stand-up comedy?
Well, I was always the goofy one at the group. I was always the friend calling everybody out, not in a bad way, but I was always the one that had something to say. And I think I was kind of around a few boring people, too, so somebody had to liven the party up. So my friends used to always tell me, and that's how a lot of people end up doing comedy anyways. But, I mean, everybody, can't do comedy just because your friends tell you that you can do comedy. I felt like it's just something that was just kind of meant for me to do because it just came natural. Like, I mean, when you got every cultural, everybody in like different cultures laughing at you, from Asian to Caucasian to Black to African to Jamaican to Indian, and I have friends from all over the world that I was able to relate to them in some kind of way to make them laugh. So I just gave it a shot just to see if it was something that I could do with my life. But once I did it, it was like I had my moments where I was going to give up, but it was like God just kept pushing me, and I kept getting calls, and I kept getting booked for things. And so here I am. I guess I'm not going to stop no time soon. So.
Now, and you're originally from Louisiana, right?
Yes. Monroe, Louisiana, small town.
And you have a mentor, because I have to tell you, I've seen her perform, and she is fabulous. She always rocks the room. And at the last show that I went to of yours was at Randall's, and you had your mentor there. And I have to say, her mentor actually, tell us about, because you guys, he said that you were ready to go on your own, and he'd been mentoring you for 4 years, right?
Yeah, well, first I thought it was because he was mentoring me for free, and I wasn't paying him. But honestly, I think he just did it pro bono for me because he saw that I had the talent and he believed in me. And his name is Mike, and he's old fashioned. He's not the type to be on Facebook and does social media and all of that. He does everything like old school by the book, and he's actually successful, and he wants the money, not the fame. So
right.
He cares about that. So I still talk to him, and he still looks out for me and everything like that. But he's the reason why I learned the stage presence, and like Amy was talking about earlier. Is that her name, Amy?
Yes.
Like she was saying how she was nervous and to be on stage and all of that, and he helped me with that by sending me to a couple of performing arts school. I went to the Cleo Parker. I was actually started off dancing there because I was in the dance ministry at church. And so after that, I started learning stage presence and, how not to be nervous and not to ask the doctor for nerve medicine because I don't want to have to live off of nerve medicine.
And what is one of the secrets to being calm on stage? Because you know what? We've got at least 5,000 comics on Comic Mafia, and I know that's something that people would like to know.
Well, I would say just have fun with it. Enjoy what you do. And if you can have fun with it, as, I think about me being in a room with my friends and us just joking around and talking. And, I think about that. I mean, it's natural to be nervous to have, you got to have something going to be there. But
right.
Just to be calm and excited to perform, you have to just love what you do, and you have to be excited about it. And it's just something that I feel like that just comes naturally after a while. And because my first set, I think they thought I was drunk or something, because I was like
I was on mine actually, but I never did that again. I went up at the Comedy Works, and I had saw Roseanne Barr for the first time, who actually has the same birthday as I do, November 3rd, And Dennis Miller's November 3rd also, which is interesting. But, I didn't mean to, and then I was like, I'll never do that again, So that was something that I learned. And but after that, I think the more you go up, the more comfortable you get, don't you?
That's true. Yeah.
And I think also the more you know your material.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I go off the crowd and, sometimes I catch myself freestyling. Sometimes
that's
because
good.
It depends on the energy of the room, because sometimes you might be in a room full of people that might not know nothing about what you're talking about or probably even can relate to it. So sometimes I go off of the energy of the room and what type of people that's in there. And, God sends it to me, every time. And there's been times where I've rocked the whole set and I did nothing that I had planned to do.
Wow, that's amazing.
But,
and you know what? That's the sign of a very professional comedian, because if you can feel the room and you know your material, but you have enough material that you can rock to the left, rock to the right, wherever you need to go, that's when you know that you really are becoming a professional comic. And that takes time. You got to put your time in and do the work. Yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, you do. It takes a lot of work. It's an art to it. It's not something that you can just do out the blue and just decide to do it one night. People learn the hard way that there's an art to it, and you have to respect it, and if you're not making people laugh, then you're not respecting it.
Yeah, there's definitely like people that go to parties and then they think they're funny when they're drunk, and then they get on stage and find out otherwise, because comedy's like dancing. You either got the rhythm or you don't, right. And you need to be able to connect to that audience. Right. And you have a variety of people there in your audience that, you have to make laugh, and you have to have that positive energy and that flow. So, but you do. I mean, everybody loves. She does and I thank you also for you guys. We got open mic night now at Herman's Hideaway on Tuesday. It's Rockstar Karaoke and Comedy, and you were nice enough to grace the stage, and I appreciate that. We support each other. That's what you're supposed to do. And I like how you call out some of the comics too, because we both do on Facebook. We're supposed to support each other, people. That's what this is all about. Don't just be putting up your stuff and not sharing up with your friends.
No,
right.
I know that's right. But I have one question I have to ask. How do you balance education and comedy?
Okay, so our at home listeners, Comic Mafia, Swan's wanting to know, because this is something else that we are so fascinated. You work in the education system, and she's actually trying to get the truth about African American history into the school systems, because for a long, we're not learning the true history of.
Well, no, we're learning his story.
Yeah.
The victor tells the story.
Yeah.
But the truth has never really been told.
Right. Well, I've debated, I've been to meetings about trying to get at least get the truth about, our history. And they actually teach it in the private schools that cost all this money to go to. And, they teach them about manifesting and about how you could do everything it is you want to do in this life. And, and how everybody has God in them, and how, we're created we have all of our tools. We have everything we need, inside of us. And, people get blinded with being told that they're special ed, or they have special education, or they have a learning disability, or, those things are something that is told to people to lower their self-esteem. So, I want, everybody to have, that implemented to them when it comes to the teachings, because I feel like people are not living and walking in their destiny because of the education system, and and people don't realize it. They don't pay attention to it. But it's just something that I pray that eventually changes, because they are teaching it in the private schools that where it's probably like 1 or 2 black kids that are maybe able to go that can afford to go to these schools. So I would like to see every child that has low self-esteem or that's been told, that they're not good enough to be able to have access to, the truth about where they come from in their history, because it's blocking them from, knowing their true self.
Right,
So,
yeah.
and so it's just something that I care about. I've always cared about it. And when I had a son, it really made me realize, how diluted the, education system is. But as a teacher, we're limited, on what we can teach, kids. And, I tutor at the library every other Saturday, high school English as well. And so, I sneak my little time in to, try to uplift kids through that in little ways, instead of, trying to have a whole curriculum and have all this administration and everybody agree with the curriculum, because they never will. It's just something that I would have to open a private school myself and try to, do this, and have a great team of people to help me. But, unfortunately, we're limited and we have restrictions on what we can teach. So
that's a great idea that you want to do your own school. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, just to help somebody, just to help
people.
I
think there's probably a big demand for that, because honestly, when you read the Black history in school, and I don't know how it is now, but it was also depressing. And there's so many things that in the African American community that have been great. Just like this movie, we're just finding out about this woman who was the math behind NASA.
Oh, yeah.
Stories like that. Why aren't we hearing those stories? Because, like when I went to school, and I'm old, it was just that history, and there's so much more. It's so rich, like back to the Moors even.
Right. Yeah. And, before, we were called Black, we were called Moors, and, and we, had medicine and came over to help, the Europeans and all of that, who were, sick and, that were living, with their animals. And, I'm sure this is not something people really care to hear about, because it ruffles a lot of feathers when I talk about it. People get, I don't know, like they get upset. I've even talked to other teachers about it and kind of have them change the subject on me like that. But
that's why we're independent radio, right, Swan? Because this is about the truth. We talk about the truth on this show, which is limited.
It's all about telling the truth, and I'm fortunate that we have the venue, we have the ability to get on there and say what needs to be said and not censored by Big Brother.
Exactly, because see, that's the problem with the school system today. There's a lot of brainwashing going on. I don't understand why children aren't being taught life skills like credit, how to build your credit, and because, if they did that, the banking system would go out of business. Children should be learning how to put money in the bank and saving their money and having good credit and just simple things like that, how to buy a house. Why aren't those things being taught in school?
Well, I mean, I guess you gotta, balance everything. You gotta, I guess everybody, they don't want everybody, finding out their true purpose. And, we probably won't have nobody working McDonald's or Burger King or something like that.
Well, they're building robots for that, right?
Right.
Hey, Borak, you got my cheeseburger wrong. I don't care. I have a screw loose, go home. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly. But, I think, everybody deserves to walk in their destiny and to learn. And, people try to say, oh, life is a choice and you have a choice. And if you choose to do that, then that's on you. But sometimes it can be on us if we don't.
Yes. Okay. And so I totally agree with that. And that's why it's great, everybody at home, parents, and even you as individuals. You really have to. You can go on the internet and educate yourself, because the African American history, the Egyptian history, it's rich, and there's so much more than what you're being taught in school. These are majestic cultures, and that's important to know, And unfortunately, there's been some cultures that are kind of evil that want to do a lot of suppression to all kinds of people, all of us. So, you know what? We're up against the battle against that, and we're going to do it with some comedy. Now, I want to also, I want to thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
We have to wrap
I want you to stick around because I want to come back to this.
Right.
And talk more about, what it is that you're doing. How can people get in contact with you to